To every soul who has struggled, fallen, and risen again, may your pain find meaning and your journey find peace. Introduction. I once stood at a point in life where I questioned everything, my dreams, my beliefs, even my purpose. That's when I realized the hardest battles are not fought outside us, but within. We do not just live, we live to find purpose, to create meaning in a world filled with noise and distraction. From the moment we are born, the struggle begins. Yet in these struggles lies the true essence of existence, the ultimate test of faith, endurance, and identity. Life of beautiful struggles. The end of man is always near, as fast as the blink of an eye. Yet within that blink, life is full of struggle. Matthias. So much to be alive, as the wise one always says, life is a gift. So make sure to make every day count. And that's why we don't want to just live, but also to live with purpose, fuel with goals. From the moment we began to reason, even from the moment that we are brought to this world, the struggles begins. So much we have seen, and much that we don't even have a clue that why it is wise to always live in the present. As we live every day in our life, the world is a thing of beauty, more like the heavens, even in this lost world full of abandoned hope, where every dream dissipate before they could even have a visual image, where few only get to see, where imagination become reality. A tug of war where only the strongest win and the wicked rule while the rest follow. And does who can adapt find an escape out from the design matrix called economy, controlled by the government? A surge of struggles in every aspect of human existence. The identity struggle. True reflection is not your face, but the real you that knows who you are. Matthias. The question, who am I, strikes deeper than we care to admit. It is not just a question of name or origin, but of essence. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when success fades, when friends disappear, when the mirror looks back but feels unfamiliar? As easy as it may sound, we all struggle with this simple truth. As times, we thought we knew better, as we claimed to know. The question, what is your identity? In other words, who are you? Sinks deep, doesn't it? As Shakespeare once suggested, picture the world as a stage where anyone can play any role they choose. You just have to pick the one that best fits you. But here is the catch. Many have played many roles on this stage and end up forgotten who they really are. Many do not know their true identity. They keep pretending, playing different characters, without knowing the man in the mirror. What a pathetic life. In a world vast enough overwhelmed everything that exists, but yet a man find himself struggling with his identity. I have been in that position for a while, and it's really a mess-up position. Identity, such a simple word, yet one of the hardest truths we ever wrestle with. Most of us think we know who we are, but often, what we know is only a reflection of what the world has shown us. We wear masks, play roles, and lose ourselves in the act. We see it everywhere. People living as strangers to themselves. They change their tone to fit the crowd, their dreams to fit the system, their beliefs to please others. They lose touch with the inner voice that once whispered who they truly were. I've been there myself, lost in the noise of life, pretending to be fine while drowning in confusion. It's a painful place to be, a kind of spiritual silence where you no longer hear your own truth. You become a shadow of your potential, a copy of what others expect. But here's the beauty in the struggle for identity. It's never too late to return to yourself. The real you is not gone, only buried beneath layers of doubt and pretense. To find your true identity, you must strip away the false titles, the borrowed beliefs, and the opinions that never belonged to you. Stand before your inner mirror and ask again, Who am I? Not to the world, but to your soul. When you finally discover that answer, you'll realize something profound. The struggle for identity is not a curse. It's the path back to authenticity. And in finding yourself, you find your peace. The believe struggle. The end game of your life is based on the believe you start with. Matthias. Belief is the silent architect of destiny. It shapes how we see ourselves, how we live, and what we become. Every man's life begins with a seed of belief, but few ever nurture it long enough to see it bloom. Our struggle with belief begins the moment we begin to think for ourselves. We question everything, our purpose, our plans, even our faith. And though questioning is not wrong, it often leaves us standing at the crossroads of confusion, where doubt whispers louder than truth. Our identity crisis can overwhelm us, that we end up not sure on what we believe from the first place. I'm not just saying believe. I mean believe in everything, your life, your plans, your future, your decision, your parent, and believing in the existence of God and religion itself. But first, where does all this doubt comes from? Because it may seem that at first you never believe in anything, right? But that's not true. This, where we question everything, maybe because we're struggling, or maybe out of curiosity, or just to not be accountable for any of our actions. A world where the end justify the means. But even with that, we can play ignorant. But deep in our heart, we know we got to believe in the existence of something or someone bigger than us. There comes a time in every life when belief feels heavy, when the world's noise drowns out our inner conviction. You start to wonder, do I really believe in my dreams, in my abilities, in God, in anything at all? Sometimes it's not that we don't believe, it's that life has tested us so much that our belief grows weary. The disappointments, the losses, the unanswered prayers, they leave cracks in our confidence. We live in a world where skepticism has become wisdom, where faith is mocked and truth is twisted. We are told to believe only in what we can see, but the greatest victories of life have always come from believing in the unseen. Belief is the foundation of every journey. Without it, even the strongest man will stumble. With it, even the weakest soul can rise. But belief isn't passive. It demands courage. It requires you to trust your purpose, even when everything falls apart. It asks you to move when you see no path, and to keep going when you see no result. Your belief determines your direction, and your direction determines your destiny. So before you chase dreams or build plans, ask yourself this: what do I truly believe? Because your belief is not just a thought, it's the compass of your life. And when you believe with conviction, even your struggles become your stepping stones. Plans and goals struggle. The line between you and your goals is thinning. If you can lose yourself a little, you'll reach your destination. Matthias. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. To be exact, this is where nearly everyone is famous, on having plan, but no execution. Life can be tiring in most cases, especially clinging to a particular goal for long, year in, year out, only to realize it never come to fruition. And frustrating is like working so hard only to end up from where they start. Everyone has a plan, a dream to chase, a future to build. The world is full of vision boards, strategies, and promises. Yet only a few ever make it past the starting line. The truth is, having a plan is easy. Living it is where the real battle begins. We live in an age where goals are celebrated more than discipline, where dreams are spoken loudly, but pursued quietly. Many set their sights on greatness, yet give up at the first sign of difficulty. They forget that every goal demands a price. Time, patience, sacrifice, and at times, even a piece of your old self. The struggle of plans and goals isn't about knowing what to do. It's about finding the strength to keep doing it when nothing seems to work. You can have the most perfect plan, the smartest idea, the most detailed vision, but without persistence, it dies quietly in the dark. Success has never been for the comfortable. It's for those who are willing to be uncomfortable long enough to see results. There are seasons when it feels like all your effort means nothing, when you've tried every door and each one stays closed. That's when frustration creeps in, whispering, maybe it's not meant for you. But here's a truth I've learned. Every delay is not denial. Sometimes life tests how badly you want it before it rewards you for enduring. You must be willing to lose a little comfort, a little pride, even a little of yourself. Because in that process of loss, you become who you were meant to be. The line between you and your goals truly is thinning. Every struggle you face is the universe asking, how much do you want this? So keep pushing, adjust, adapt, endure. Don't just chase your goals, become one with them. When you do, your success will no longer feel like a destination. It will feel like home. Eliation's struggle. They fools say he need nothing but only because he isn't not aware. Matthias. In a world where they say knowledge is power, and yet more educated people become irrelevant in the scope of circular academics. But now let's make it holistic. We live in a world where knowledge is everywhere, but there is propel. The wrong type of knowledge is past, or should I say, knowledge has been abused or used wrongfully by people. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge, yet starving for wisdom. Information is everywhere, in books, on screens, in conversations, but not all of it transforms. In this age of data, many are educated, yet few are truly enlightened. From the moment we begin to learn, we're told that knowledge is power. But somewhere along the line, that truth became distorted. We started chasing certificates instead of understanding, grades instead of growth. Education became a ladder to climb, not a light to guide. The struggle, then, is not about the lack of education. It's about the misuse of it. We have people with degrees but no direction, knowledge but no vision, credentials but no creativity. The system has taught us what to think, but rarely how to think. We are filled with facts, but empty of insight. True education is not about memorizing information. It's about awakening, transformation. It is not just learning what others discovered, but discovering something within yourself. The fool says he needs nothing because he does not yet know what he lacks. Awareness is the beginning of wisdom. The wise man remains a student forever, humble enough to learn, brave enough to unlearn, and wise enough to relearn. Education should liberate, not confine. It should build thinkers, not repeaters. The tragedy of our generation is that knowledge has become common, but understanding has become rare. And so we struggle, not against ignorance alone, but against the illusion of knowledge itself. We must remember that knowing is not enough. It is in applying, questioning, and living what we know that knowledge becomes wisdom. True education begins the moment we stop chasing approval and start seeking truth. Financial struggle. The biggest freedom you can have is financial freedom, not otherwise. Matthias. Welcome to the Loop Index. This, where everything becomes frustrating, where nothing seems to work. Every plans combine, with every educational knowledge possible, is exhausted completely. If you ask every young man about his possible future, they all end up telling and explaining the lavish life they want to lead. And since 20% of people owns $80 of wealth, that leaves virtually about 80% of people struggling financially. Let's come down to Africa, the richest soil, but with the poorest people. If I may say, people struggle to have a minimum of average life. Nearly most families struggle to live happily with most important need. Money may not buy happiness, but its absence can surely buy struggle. In a world driven by survival and status, financial freedom has become the quiet dream of almost every soul. It is the invisible chain that holds many back, and the open door that only a few ever walk through. The financial struggle is not just about lacking wealth. It's about the pressure of a system designed to keep you dependent. From the day we begin to work, most of us are caught in a cycle. Earn, spend, repeat. It feels like running in place, movement without progress. We dream of freedom, but few ever find it, because financial freedom demands more than hard work. It demands wisdom, discipline, and vision. Around the world, the gap between wealth and poverty widens each day. The saying that 20% of people control 80% of the world's wealth isn't just a statistic. It's a reflection of how unequal the playing field truly is. And in places like Africa, rich in soil but poor in opportunity, the irony cuts even deeper. Families struggle to meet their basic needs. Parents sacrifice sleep to feed their children. Dreams are delayed or destroyed by the weight of bills, debts, and survival. For many, life becomes less about living and more about enduring. But here's the truth. Financial freedom begins not with money, but with mindset. It starts the day you stop seeing poverty as identity and start seeing wealth as responsibility. You must learn to build, to save, to invest, not only in things, but in yourself. Education gives knowledge, but financial education gives independence. The wealthy do not think only about income. They think about value, assets, and time. They make money work for them, while others work endlessly for money. Financial freedom is not just a luxury, it is a foundation. It gives you the power to choose, to give, to live with dignity. Without it, even your greatest talents can feel trapped. So the struggle continues, not just against poverty, but against ignorance, fear, and comfort. Because until you master your finances, you will always be a servant to your needs. True freedom begins when you no longer wake up to survive, but to create, to build, and to give meaning to your existence. Relationship struggle. It is said one can make a difference, but at best when you say two, can create a movement, or better, say two can multiply it. Matthias. No man was ever meant to walk alone. From the very beginning of existence, we were designed for connection, to share, to love, to build. Yet, in a world full of people, loneliness still finds its way into our hearts. Change begins with one, but transformation happens with two. You can earn yourself a title, but still struggle to keep or have a good relationship. This was where you can be mentally stressed to a point where nothing fill your heart. That emptiness, void and yearn for wanting or belonging. The scripture says, two are better than one, and also say, a friend close by is better than a relative afar. What I learn is, we all need someone we can trust, share all our achievement with. The struggle of relationships is not simply about romance or friendship. It's about the longing to be understood, to be seen, to be valued. You can have thousands of followers and still feel invisible. You can be surrounded by people and still feel profoundly alone. Relationships are mirrors. They reveal who we are and what we lack. Sometimes they heal us, other times they hurt us. But either way, they shape us. The truth is, love and connection require work, patience, forgiveness, communication, and above all, humility. The world often tells us to chase independence, to need no one, to stand alone. But strength is not in isolation, it's in unity. The scripture says, "Two are better than one, for when one falls, the other lifts him up." You can achieve much on your own, but together you can multiply it. One person can make a difference, yes, but two, moving in the same direction, can start a revolution. Yet we often forget that relationships are not built on perfection, but on effort. Many lose what they love because they stop watering what once bloomed. Pride replaces empathy, and misunderstanding becomes the silent wall between hearts. True connection requires vulnerability, the courage to be honest, even when it hurts. It's about standing beside someone, not because it's easy, but because you've chosen to understand their storms as much as their sunshine. In friendship, partnership, or love, the principle remains the same. We rise higher when we rise together. So, as you walk through the struggles of life, don't walk alone. Find those who believe in your journey, who challenge your growth, who see the best in you, even when you can't. Because in the end, the greatest wealth you'll ever have isn't money or fame. It's the people who choose to stand beside you when life tests your strength. The League of Immortality. Our lives are like words written on a wall, but only those whose name are engraved on the hardest surface are remember. Matthias. Finally, Scripture says, "Better is the end of a thing than its beginning," and "A good name is to be chosen rather than silver or gold." Life gives us countless chances to chase wealth, fame, and comfort, but in the end, it will all fade. What remains is how we lived, how we loved, and what we stood for. It will be disgraceful to go through all the struggles in life just to have a bad name or bad reputation. Your legacy is what stands in the League of Immortality, engraved in golden ink. But apparently, only few remember that. And that is why most people name fade, even before they died. While some are like walking death. Unknowingly, in the past, even today's world, we have heard names of people who have contributed greatly. Walk with meekness, but to the world they are called fools, even laugh at on their deeds. But today, their name resonate in most people's heart. And I think that what matters, as the one of the wisest person to walk the earth says, vanity upon vanity, but really cares in our today's world where pay more attention to passive nouns. Every man is writing something, through his choices, his actions, his character. Some write their stories in dust, and the wind takes them away. Others carve their names into stone, leaving behind something that time cannot erase. Legacy. That's what it all comes down to. It is not about how long we live, but how deeply we live. Not about how loud our voices sound, but how lasting our impact becomes. It would be a tragedy to go through all of life's struggles, identity, belief, purpose, and pain, only to leave behind nothing but a name forgotten. Many people die long before their hearts stop beating. They exist, but never live. They walk the earth, but their souls are asleep. Yet there are others, the rare few, who walk humbly through the storms of life, mocked by the world, misunderstood by many, but guided by truth. They leave footprints on hearts, not just on earth. Their names echo through time because they lived with meaning. These are the ones who belong to what I call the League of Immortality. They are not remembered for their riches, but for their righteousness. Not for what they owned, but for what they gave. Not for being perfect, but for being real. History is filled with such names. Those who walked in meekness, who stood for justice, who loved without measure. The world may have called them fools, but heaven knew their worth. Their lives became eternal messages, written not on walls, but in the hearts of men. To join that league is not about fame or fortune. It's about living in such a way that even after you are gone, your life still speaks. Because when all is said and done, and the world forgets the noise of your existence, what will remain is the echo of your impact. So live, Matthias. Live not to be seen, but to be remembered. Live so that when your name is spoken, it carries the weight of truth, compassion, and courage. For that is the true immortality, to die, yet still live on in the hearts of others. In the end, our lives will either fade like chalk in the rain, or endure like carvings in stone. The choice is how deeply we live, how truthfully we love, and how fearlessly we leave our mark. The final reflection. Life is not a straight line. It is a circle of lessons, losses, and rebirths. Every struggle we face is not punishment, but preparation. Every pain we endure is not the end, but the shaping of something greater inside us. The world teaches us to chase perfection, but God teaches us to embrace process. It is through brokenness that strength is formed, through tears that wisdom is born, through failure that destiny begins to whisper. In the silence of your journey, you will realize, life never truly gets easier. You simply grow stronger. And when you look back, you will see that what once tried to destroy you was building you. The beautiful struggles of life are the chisels of purpose. They carve away your fears, your doubts, your ego, until only truth remains. And that truth is this: you were never meant to give up. If you are reading this now, it means you have survived things that once tried to break you. You have fought silent battles, faced invisible storms, and still you rise. That makes you a victor, not a victim. Remember, every life leaves a mark. So, let your mark be one of faith. Let your name stand for something pure, something eternal. Let your words build, not destroy. Let your actions heal, not wound. Because in the end, it is not the noise of your life that will matter, but the meaning you leave behind. You were created for greatness, not the kind that shouts, but the kind that endures. Walk in humility, love deeply, give freely, and never stop believing in the beauty of your own becoming. For when your story is done and your time is past, may your life whisper to the world, "Here lived one who struggled beautifully and found meaning in every scar."